FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
But it does beg the question, well, if this is the case, if fundamentalists have always had more children, why aren't we all Hutterites now? You know, why has secularism done so well? And this really speaks to the why now question. And there are a couple of major reasons demographically why we're starting to see fundamentalists pull away from the rest of the population. First of all, material incentives used to be overriding in importance when it came to how large a family to have. You needed children to work the land, to pay for you in your old age. You simply didn't have a choice. And also, most of them died, so you had to have a lot. Well, today, between the welfare state and modern medicine and urbanization, that's no longer playing a role. Secondly, the link between sex and procreation has now been broken by contraception. So how large your family is increasingly a choice. And when it becomes a choice, your values, whether you're secular or fundamentalist, take on a much greater importance. And so it's really as we move into modernity that cultural values start to matter more for fertility. And this comes out of something called second demographic transition theory in demography. So the trend towards very low fertility is spearheaded by secular people. Throughout the world, next to a woman's marital status and her education, her religiosity is the most important predictor of how many children she'll have. And so seculars are spearheading this trend towards very low fertility, and the religious, particularly fundamentalists, are resisting this shift, which is in fact the shift that's driving the great shrinking that we're talking about, or at least one of the causes of the great shrinking. And not only that, as populations decline, as fertility rates drop, the percentage difference between religious and secular increases, because if you think about it, if fundamentalists have 5 children and seculars 4, that's only a 20% advantage. If fundamentalists have 2 and seculars 1, that's a 100% advantage. And so this kind of logic is also playing out. Not only that, we have fundamentalist movements that are explicitly noticing this and saying, hang on, if we breed, we're going to win here. A good example of this is the Quiverfull movement in the United States. The Quiverfull movement, whose unofficial leader is a son, Doug Phillips is the son of one of the founders of the moral majority in the United States. It was well connected to the mainstream of evangelicalism. Doug Phillips' philosophy is that of a 200-year plan for domination of the United States, and he's been extremely explicit about this, that through having large numbers of children while everybody else's fertility drops, their group can increase in power. And in fact, Quiverfull men speak of themselves as patriarchs who will preside over dynasties of hundreds of thousands of descendants in a couple of centuries. They're obviously good mathematicians as well as theologians. And they're still small. They're only in the tens of thousands as a movement. However, they are starting to influence the mainstream of conservative religious thinking. In the journal First Things, a prominent Catholic journal, the theologian David Bentley Hart writes, probably the most subversive and effective strategy we might undertake would be one of militant fecundity, abundant, relentless, exuberant, and defiant childbearing. Given the reluctance of modern men and women to be fruitful and multiply, it would not be difficult, surely, for the devout to accomplish in no more than a generation or two a demographic revolution.